Imagine this. You work your whole life to acquire the house of your dreams, full of furniture, trinkets. Something happens. The love of your life passes away. Soon after that, you find out that you have a devastating diagnosis that's going to lend your health care in someone else's hands. Scary thought. People that have to depend on others for their cares are vulnerable to abuse. Unfortunately, abuse happens. Therefore, we need to know what constitutes abuse, where and when, and whom it can occur, as well as what we can do if we suspect abuse. Abuse consists of physical abuse, verbal, emotional, psychological abuse. It can be sexual abuse, financial abuse, or misappropriation of funds. Can also be caregiver neglect. Physical abuse could be anything from hitting, slapping, pushing, pinching, burning, biting, physical restraints, over-medicating somebody so you don't have to put up with their screams or whatever. That's called a chemical restraint. It's still abuse. According to the University of California School of Medicine, the fastest growing segment of population are those over the age of 85. Unfortunately, this is the age of the most vulnerable. Verbal abuse consists of name-calling, threatening someone, causing emotional pain or distress, yelling or swearing at somebody, treating an older person as if they were a child. If you don't shut up, you don't get dinner. If you don't shut up, I'm going to lock you in your room. All of that stuff is abuse. Manipulating them. Sexual abuse. Sexual abuse would be rape, coercion of one to have sex with another, trying to talk Mrs. Jones into having intercourse with Mr. Smith for your own pleasures. It's also inappropriate touching or photographing or forcing them to watch pornography with or without you.
I guess.
Financial abuse would be spending someone's money without their permission. It would be fraud or forgery, taking their checkbook, writing checks without them knowing. Scams, phone calls, anything through the mail or even in person. I'm sure all of us have received that phone call, give us so much money and we can fix this for you. Elderly fall prey to that more so than the younger group, but that's still financial abuse. If you're in charge of their bank accounts and you deny them their own funds, or you manipulate them, if you buy me a new car, I'll be the best daughter-in-law you ever had. That's manipulating. It's still abuse financially. Caregivers can neglect somebody. That's also a form of abuse, intentional or unintentional. Failure of meeting their basic needs. If you fail to provide appropriate food and water, housing, utilities, if you fail to take them to the doctor and it's your responsibility to do so, that is neglect, which is also abuse. Also, along those same lines, failure to distribute medications in a timely manner. If they're supposed to have their pain pill every 4 hours and you decide they're faking it and they're not going to get it for 8 hours, that's abuse. There's a few different signs that I have listed here that show your loved ones can portray to show you that they've been abused or whatever. Some of them are the obvious. It's something you would expect to see of an abused person. Unexplained bruising, marks or bruises around the wrist or the arms and neck. If they love to go play bingo and then all of a sudden they just don't care anymore, that's lack of interest. If they're the sweetest grandma you ever met and now they're just a hateful, that's a behavior change. It's also a sign. A large withdrawal from their bank account or an unusual ATM usage. Signature on the checks that doesn't match up. Improper hygiene if they haven't had a bath for, a week or two or a month. if they have significant weight loss or bed sores, lack of necessities such as their hearing aids, wheelchairs, walkers, or medications. Abuse can happen in the nursing homes, hospitals, in the community, and their own home. Also a family's house. According to the National Center of Elderly Abuse in Washington, D.C., abuse can happen anywhere. The National Center of Abuse also states that more people are abused within their own home or the community than they are in a healthcare setting. I'm sure that's got a lot to do with state surveys, the administrators or DONs of the nursing homes and things like that. Like I said, everyone is at risk. All the older generation is at risk, and it's partly because of the large pool that contains the aggressors. The aggressors most generally are friends, family, their spouse, caretakers, and even their self. I kind of thought it was odd that your self could be an aggressor, but it's more so, those lines is more so like dementia. You are your own worst enemy if you forget your heart medicines or you forget whatever. And an intervention still needs to be brought up if they're in that situation. What to do if you suspect abuse? I would report it as soon as possible. If you're in a care facility, you need to report it to your supervisor. If you feel like it is your supervisor that's committing the abuse, you follow your chain of command and go above your supervisor. If it is someone in their home or the home of a loved one, you need to contact an agency that deals with elderly abuse, such as the Health and Senior Services. Reporting abuse. According to the Health and Senior Services, the reporter needs to be prepared to answer a few of the questions. It includes the victim's name, address, phone number, sex, age, the allegations, and what brought you to believe that it's true. Whether the victim is in immediate danger, the name of each individual that is said to be involved, also your own contact information. Remember, you can be anonymous unless you are a mandated reporter. Mandated reporters include types of doctors, every type of doctor, nurses, caregivers, home health agencies, social workers, coroner, and any state health worker, law enforcement, people along those lines. Mandated reporters have to report. It's not a matter of if they want to. The National Center on Elder Abuse serves as a national resource for elderly rights and advocates. Their partners, I have listed here some of the partners with the National Center. And it's the National Association of State Unit on Aging, the American Bar Association, Commission on Law and Aging, Clearinghouse on Abuse and Neglect, National Adult Protective Service Association, National Committee for the Prevention of Elderly Abuse. Each one of these people are advocates for the abuse, the elderly on the abuse, and you could call any of them. They could step you through the things you need to do. Who you would contact? I would contact the local police first. Although there are no specific laws for elderly abuse, not that they don't get charged, they just get charged under other categories. If it's a sexual abuse, it's a sexual crime, things like that. But I would still call the local police. Also, the Missouri Health and Senior Services. I have listed their phone number and address here. The ones for Missouri is in Jeff City at 912 Wildwood, or P.O. Box 570 in Jeff City, Missouri. watching for abuse and reporting it. If you see abuse and you turn it in, you could save lives. Remember, guys, this is supposed to be their golden years, not the years that they fear. Abuse leads them to be sad and lonely and depressed, and they should be at their happiest. As I've discussed, abuse is everywhere and it affects millions each year. It leaves our loved ones with ill feelings, sadness, loneliness, physical pain, and emotional distress. The final stages of their life shouldn't feel mistreated, used, or abused. Thank you.